Well, Wagon on the line from Bucknuts, 247 Sports. Buckeyes, of course, at 2-0 following the big win against Penn State in Happy Valley, 38-25. I was noting, Steve, that somebody here said 38-24. So I will also go back one question to what Roberto hit us with here. Feeling that maybe Ryan Day got a little conservative once he grabbed the lead, or was he just working on the running game? Your thoughts about that?
Well, I think there is a lot to that. If you look at how this game progressed, Ohio State was up 21-6. I think Penn State scored to start the second half, but the Buckeyes kind of regained control again and had a comfortable lead. And I think on the road, what Ryan Day was thinking, and some of it had to do with field position, Penn State did successfully pin Ohio State back at least once or twice there in the second half. And I can remember as I was watching it unfold, Ohio State was back in their own end, probably about the 20-yard line. And you have to think about this. Penn State did drive 3 times for 75-yard touchdown drives, but Ohio State made them earn it. It wasn't, a 50-yard play or whatever. It was a lot of underneath stuff. And, of course, Jahan Dotson made 2 amazing catches from the passes by Sean Clifford. So, to me, what I saw was Ohio State did become conservative defensively, giving Penn State some underneath stuff to make them use clock. And then on offense, when they were backed up in their own end, depending on what the score was, I don't think Ryan Day wanted to take a chance on a strip sack of the quarterback or an interception. Not that Fields throws a lot of interceptions. He's only thrown 3 now in what would this be, 16 games at Ohio State, and all of them were last year. Still hasn't done it yet. I guess Fox had a graphic. His touchdown to interception ratio against Big Ten opponents is 36-1, which is pretty good, I think. So at any rate, I think Coach wanted to make sure that they didn't make a mistake. And so Penn State was sitting on the run there when Ohio State had the ball at their own 25 after one of the touchdowns, I'm sure. And when they don't get much on first down, and then they run it again on second down, and I'm sitting there saying, no way they throw on 3rd and 8 here from their own 23 with like a 15-point lead with like 10, 12 minutes to go. I said, there is no way you throw the football there. And they didn't. They got smashed and had to put the ball away. And I think it was conservative football. But you know what? You went on the road and you won the game by 15 points against a team that a lot of people thought was the preseason top 10 team. Typically a tough place to play, although for all the crabbing Ohio State fans do, we always get a night game over there. We always get a night game over there. Why don't we play them at night games in Columbus? 7 of the last 8 times they've been to Penn State, it's been a night game. And, of course, almost all those, or probably all of the other ones, were whiteouts. This one was not, because there was nobody really in the stadium other than the families. Ohio State is now 5-2 in night games at Penn State since 2005. The 2 losses were 2005 and 2016. They've won the rest of them, won the other 5. So, if it's a whiteout, I don't cringe too much, knowing that Ohio State's done pretty good in the whiteouts and pretty good against Big Ten teams on the whole. It's the numbers are pretty astronomical since Urban Meyer showed up, and just as good. Ryan Day is completely unbeaten, 10-0 last year and 2-0 this year, and 1-0 the year before when he was the acting coach. So he's 13-0 all time against Big Ten opponents. And my guess is with Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan State all coming up, that'll be 18-0 going into Michigan.
And based on my recollection, those would be the only 2 losses in Happy Valley since 2005 would be the 2 that you cited. I think.
Yeah, there was one day game, and they also won that one. So, yeah, it is, they've, of course, Penn State, from 2011 to 2015 was, kind of on the rocks a little bit. Ohio State blew them out a couple times. And so, it is what it is. But it really shows. I mean, this is what 4 straight wins over Penn State as well since 2016. And, a lot of people came out of the game saying the gap between the 2 programs is kind of widening. And that's been really the next best program in the Big Ten the last 4 or 5 years. So if that's the case, it's kind of the big one and the little 13 right now, it looks like.
Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop, patiently standing by to give us his take on Penn State. So what stood up to you? I'm thinking one positional unit that I'm going to hit you both with, but what stood out to you?
Well, I'll just touch on something you guys I think we're talking about, the conservative nature of Ryan Day down the stretch. But let's remember, when the game was in doubt, he threw it twice on 4th down. And so I think that's the key thing to remember there is, as Day said, when you practice those things during the week and they work, then you have to put them in the game plan. And if they are in the game plan and you're in that situation, you have to call those plays. And he said after the game, it doesn't make it easy to call them, but they're there. You know, you have the players, you know, you have the ability to execute it with Justin Fields and Chris Olave, or Fields and Jeremy Ruckert. He did say, like, after the game, felt like he needed a drink, basically, because of the stress of those 4th down calls. But he went out there and actively tried to win the game on those 4th downs. And that was really the drive of the game. I think that they Penn State was trying to get momentum in a game where you can't really gain momentum because there's no crowd. And so that made it a little bit difficult. But throwing the ball, especially throwing the ball downfield on 4th and 1 to Olave like they did, I think it was like a 20-yard pass in the air. That's not conservative. Now, then you get past that, and once you're up 2 or 3 scores, why risk anything? And any Ohio State coach will take a 1-point win at Happy Valley, and that's really the goal. And this, you don't need style points, I don't think, as long as you're undefeated. Ohio State doesn't. And really, how many style points can you put up against a team that is now 0-2? Like what do you get from it? And so, yeah, it's funny once coaches get to like the 4th quarter, you just watch them turtle up and let's just get out of town as quickly and safely as possible.
Well, this is a Penn State game that was the monster game in the Big Ten, the headliner. Then it turns into a game that's marginalized because of the Indiana loss. And then obviously Penn State is also 0-2 because the Buckeyes gave them one of the 2 losses. So Penn State may turn out, and I would expect they're going to turn out to be a pretty good football team. Maybe not a top 10 team, but maybe a top 25 team, maybe a 5-3, 6-3 after championship weekend team, where this win is going to be put in better context as the season unravels and unfolds. And that's basically what it is at this point.